Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ryan Orange, and together with my colleague Anna Maria Urbanova, we'll have a match between two teams in this eighth of final match. So I give the floor to Miss Urbanova.
Thank you very much. And indeed, good day, everyone. Good day to students of University of Birmingham. Good day to students of University of Lagos. Welcome to your eighth final match, your first match in the final phase, and actually the third match of the 8 finals in this round. So hopefully it is a lucky match for both of your teams, that you enjoy it. Today you will be debating on the topic you've received in advance. That is, the use of natural grass should be mandatory in professional sports stadiums. So before we know which side will be defended by which team, it is time for a little reintroduction for the sake of judges and of course the audience that might be watching and supporting you today. Starting perhaps with University of Lagos. Eriki Ugo, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Erike Ugo. It's a pleasure to meet you all, and I hope we have a wonderful match. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome again. From University of Birmingham, Mr. Raj.
Hi, my name is Ranveer, and I am an undergraduate final year student, and I'm really excited to have this debate today.
Thank you. Welcome again. From University of Lagos, Ms. Nandozi.
Good day, everyone. My name is Esther Nadozi, and I look forward to a fruitful conversation and debate with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome again. From University of Birmingham, Ms. Sidani.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Risha Sidani, and I'm an undergraduate final year student in Birmingham, and I'm really looking forward to this debate today.
Thank you. Welcome again. Completing the team of University of Lagos, Ms. Sueno.
Hello, everyone, and good day. My name is Ramat Sueno from the University of Lagos, and as my colleagues have said, I look forward to a wonderful match.
Thank you. Welcome again. Also, for the completeness, I would just like to take a note and send best regards also to the coaches and mentors of the two teams. So University of Lagos is mentored by Ms. Gloria Longe. I don't know if your coach is in the room with you. If so, this is also a spot for her. But I do see already the mentor of University of Birmingham, Mr. Mahar. The floor is yours if you wish to share some words of encouragement to the teams.
I'm not a mentor, I'm also one of the debaters.
My apologies. So, Mr. Mohar, also the floor is yours for introductions. Apologies.
Yeah. No, my name is Harish, and I'm quite excited to be debating a motion that is a topic that I'm very, very passionate about. So I look forward to a very entertaining and very informative debate. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. In a short while, you will see the traditional allocation of the positions. So if you can just give me a confirmation when you can see the screen.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. So for today's debate, we'll find out in a second which team will defend which side. Right, for today's debate, then it will be the team of University of Lagos that will be defending in favor position, and thus the use of natural grass. And the against position will be defended by team of University of Birmingham. As always, you will now have 5 minutes to finalize your preparations. Feel free to close your cameras. And in 5 minutes, it will be University of Lagos that will be starting the debate. Thank you, everyone. So we will be now starting the debate, starting with the opening statement of the team in favor, University of Lagos. You will now have 4 minutes to start your arguments. As always, for both teams, you will have visual cues. So 30 seconds, yellow card, and when your time is up, a red card will be shown. When you see a red card, comfortably conclude your sentences. It's not recommended to start new ones. So without further ado, 4 minutes for the opening statement for the team of University of Lagos.
Before I begin, I'd like to confirm if I'm audible and visible.
Yes, you are. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Honorable judges and esteemed colleagues, embracing natural grass isn't just a choice, it's a necessity to maintain the integrity and sustainability of professional sports. Beyond the aesthetics, it offers unparalleled benefits to the athletes, to fans, and to the environment alike. My name is Ramat Sueno, and my colleagues and I will be arguing that the use of natural grass should be mandatory in sports stadiums. I'll be arguing this motion in 3 points. Firstly, the players' welfare is paramount. Secondly, safety assessment tests for artificial turfs are largely inaccurate. And lastly, it is environmentally sustainable. On my first point, on the importance of players' welfare, one of the paramount principles under the Safe Sport International Guidelines is that the welfare, safety, and rights of all athletes should be the central consideration in the administration and delivery of sport. According to the NFL injury data from 2012 to 2018, players have a 28% higher rate of non-contact lower extremity injuries when playing on artificial turf. Accordingly, there have been notable agitations by various sports players associations, such as the NFL's Players Association, against the use of artificial turfs. Sport teams, on the other hand, appear to be more concerned about the cost of maintaining natural grass, rather than placing such worry on the players' welfare. This brings me to the question that when the safety and welfare of players conflict with the profit-making agenda of sport teams, which should reasonably be of more priority? To put it straight, health and safety at work is a right of all employees under numerous international legal frameworks, and it is the responsibility of employers, in this instance, the teams, to observe their inherent duty of care towards their players. The British case of Watson versus British Boxing Board of Control established that when a sports governing body assumes a regulatory role, it becomes responsible for the promotion of safety and is liable for any injury that occurs out of failure to carry out such responsibility. Moving on to my second point on inaccurate safety assessment test. The assessment tests that purpose to establish artificial turfs as safe are largely inaccurate. The most commonly used assessment test for turf safety is the Clegg impact test, which primarily measures surface hardness in relation to the risk of players' injury. However, research has proven over time that this test is largely insufficient. While it may provide information on surface hardness, it fails to address other factors that affect sports performance, such as traction, compaction, and drainage. The test may also be influenced by external factors such as environmental conditions or the operator's technique, or even variations in surface compositions. One will then wonder why such a test will be an efficient basis for the dismissal of constant complaint made by actual players. Lastly, on my last point, on environmental sustainability. Natural grass has been proven to be climate friendly and to promote environmental sustainability by absorbing carbon dioxide, reducing heat, and promoting biodiversity. The assertion that natural grass is not climate adaptable is simply incorrect. There are a variety of grasses that can be tailored to specific climate and weather conditions. The 2023 version of the FIFA Natural Turf Guidelines takes into account that natural playing surfaces are dependent on their surrounding conditions, such as climate or soil compositions. And these guidelines have been designed to assist managers and administrators in their decision making during tendering, installation, and maintenance of football pitches. A careful engagement of agricultural experts will help to achieve the growth of grass under any climate or in any region. Finally, as I conclude, I'd like us to ponder on certain questions. What should be of more priority between the welfare of players and the need for teams to reduce cost? Should vague safety assessment tests trump the valid complaints put out by players about their risk of injury and potential career jeopardy? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your opening statement. We'll now hear the opening statement in the against position. University of Birmingham, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you. I'd just like to check, am I audible?
Yes, you are, but it's a little soft, so if there is a way to increase.
Am I better heard now?
Yes, you are audible, yes.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, the University of Birmingham team will be arguing that enforcing this motion will only lead to two main problems: an increased risk of injury and a threat to sustainability. This is because this motion inhibits what surface is best for professional stadiums. My colleague from the proposition drawed on the importance of safety of players, and the opposition agrees. Safety of players should be prioritised, and the best way to achieve this is by opposing the motion. Artificial grass can help prevent injury for two main reasons. Drainage systems that can be implemented underneath the artificial turfs reduce the risk of slipping for areas with wet weather. Additionally, artificial grass has layers of cushioning, which ensures shock absorption and has reduced chances of concussion and injury. Hence, the law only threatens player safety. The purpose of the law is to achieve justice and to protect the public, and the law is therefore going against the very thesis of that if we implement this motion. This shows the law overreaching its limits. It's infringing on an area that they are not experts on, which only leads to negative externality. On top of this, this motion is forcing stadiums to be complicit to these externalities, increasing the liability of stadiums, which leads to more disputes and legal costs. Secondly, I will now tackle the point of environment. Taking away a stadium's ability to decide what ground is best suited for their environment threatens sustainability. Natural grass increases the use of pesticides and water supply. Pesticides contaminate surrounding areas and water supplies that are not even in the stadium, leading to innocent individuals bearing the cost of this. An example is how Singapore has the strictest rules about the war on pesticides. Only one stadium in Singapore uses natural grass. The dense population of the city means that the use of pesticides and a poor irrigation system is massively problematic, as pesticides can come into contact with a wide range of people, causing dramatic harm, and the water supply would be depleted. The whole reasoning behind the sustainability principle established in the United Nations Framework Convention of Climate Change was to reduce the effect our resource use has on innocent individuals of the future generations. Instead, this motion is compromising the health of innocent individuals in nearby areas and future generations. For example, the use of pesticides perpetuates a vicious cycle as it causes pests to become resistant to pesticides, leading to a need for an increased use of pesticides in the future. And therefore, the burden falls on the shoulders of those who are not even born yet. Therefore, this motion undermines the very basis of a well-respected and upheld convention. Thus, this rule would conflict with pre-existing established legal principles, and it is not only environmentally but legally problematic. Although the proposition argued that artificial grass can increase health risks, for example, can increase many health risks to the players, the opposition can concede that each alternative comes with different disadvantages. Thus, we must balance these disadvantages against each other. To summarise, these points show that this motion is completely unfeasible. For example, FIFA has enforced that stadiums in USA, Canada, and Mexico in the World Cup 2026 should all install natural grass turf fields. At face value, this example seems as if it lends itself to the argument that implementing this motion is in fact feasible, as it has been done. However, one needs to actually look at what the definition of natural grass means. Natural grass meant that 39% of turf had to be natural grass, not 100%, which shows that if even the international governing body of football understands that this rule is unrealistic, then it shows just how unfeasible this motion is.
Thank you. We have now heard the opening statements for both positions. We'll now proceed to the rebuttals. Starting with the team in favour, University of Lagos debate team, you have 2 minutes.
Before I start, I would like to confirm if I am audible and visible.
You are. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, the opposing side has in fact brought to our attention the importance of safety. Now we need to understand that should safety, that is the welfare of the players, should it actually be sacrificed on the altar of cost effectiveness, costs, and immigration issues that have been mentioned by the other side? And the reply to that is no. Honorable judges, esteemed debaters, greetings. Now the opponent has stated, and I quote, that the natural grass has a higher risk of slipping, and that is risk of injuries. However, this is not true. Not only did they not cite a research supporting that fact, they did not also give us the facts to submit to that claim. In contradiction, the study by the National Collegiate Athletic Association has found that the players are 3 times more likely to have injuries on artificial turfs than on natural grass. And this, of course, was highlighted to PCL injuries, that is, knee injuries. And additionally, a meta-analysis published in 2023 by the American Journal of Sports Medicine found that ankle injuries were more likely to occur on artificial turfs than on natural grass. This is why we support the notion that natural grass should in fact be mandatory, as it would aid in reducing these risks of injuries that have of course been highlighted by the opposing side. So the opposing side stated legal costs. However, we must note that costs should not be the key component here when discussing the safety of players. And if they want to discuss cost, of course, the cost of rehabilitation and compensation of the players who get injured on artificial course should also be in mind. Therefore, we should understand that it is important for us to mandate natural grass in order to contradict the injuries brought about by the artificial turf. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear the first rebuttal in the against position. University of Birmingham, you have 2 minutes.
Can I just check if I'm audible?
You are. Thank you.
My speech will start in a few seconds. I'm going to ask 2 questions in this speech. The first is the proposition's framing of cost versus welfare a fair characterization of this motion? Second, what is the cost of engaging and imposing this mandatory requirement on all countries of all sports? The first, is that framing worthwhile? The problem is, we agree. Nobody here is saying that money should always trade off a player welfare. But in order for them to make this claim, they need to be able to substantiate and prove clearly that the artificial turf is disproportionately going to cause more injuries than if people were playing on real turf. This is something they don't actually meaningfully prove in their side of the house. Because while they may be able to prove to some degree that non-contact injuries might be heightened because of individuals engaging with that pitch, they don't consider the trade-off of the prolonged use of pesticide in densely populated areas, nor do they engage in the multiple amounts of trade-off that is needed for them to maintain these real grass pitch. So even though there are more, say, non-contact injuries, there are also going to be significantly less harm to the wider public that comes into contact with these things. There's going to be less harm, for example, when the conditions of the match is rainy, for example, because you can get irrigation channels under artificial pitches to drain out things like cricket pitches and football pitches a lot quicker than you would if they were playing on natural gas. So yes, they are able to prove that one type of injury gets heightened, but they're unable to weigh that cost against the other types of injuries that are going to happen. But at the same time, I think what's important to point out is that making it compulsory, because this motion is not about trying to create an ideal standard. They need to prove that you should impose this cost on every country. Doing it would mean that countries that cannot afford the regular maintenance of natural grass because it's expensive lose the ability to engage in sports or have their sporting leagues. But also countries that just don't have the physical, geographical climate to upkeep these conditions are also going to be locked out from engaging in sports. So they keep sports only for a select few countries. We oppose.
Thank you. Now for the second rebuttal, University of Lagos, for your in favor position, you have 2 minutes.
Honorable judges, esteemed debaters, greetings once again. The opposite side, starting of course from the last rebuttal that they made, which was the cost of maintenance. They had stated that the cost of maintenance of natural grass was higher than that of the artificial turf. However, this is not true, as we have already rebutted this stance by stating that there is the cost of rehabilitation of the injuries related to the artificial turf. And additionally, there's cost for compensation in cases where the injuries are severe. Of course, this has been highlighted in the case of Stranger against the National Football League. Additionally, this opponent stated that it was impractical due to the fact that certain weather climates do not allow for proper natural grass. However, this is not true. In fact, as we can see by the research made, the 2021 research of the Journal of Pharmacognosy and Phytochemistry, that there are several types of natural grass that can be used in sport. Of course, the journal highlighted grasses such as the Kentucky bluegrass, the perennial ryegrass, the zoysia, and the Bermuda grass. And in addition to this, in places like the opponents have stated that the climate does not allow for proper breeding or rearing of the grass, we have noted that in Australia, for instance, the perennial ryegrass is a common grass there. And in England, for instance, the Kentucky bluegrass is, of course, a common grass there. Therefore, we cannot state that it is impractical on any ground because there are, in fact, proper grasses growing perfectly. Also, the opponents made mention of the irrigations and the fact of the cost. However, this is not true, as we have already rebutted this in our first argument. We would therefore like to conclude and state that the natural grass is in fact the best means for the safety of players as opposed to the artificial turf in this instance. Thank you.
Thank you. Now for the second rebuttal, University of Birmingham, you have 2 minutes for your against position.
Hi, can I just confirm that I'm audible and visible?
You are, thank you.
Perfect. So I would be beginning my rebuttal in 2 seconds. The points raised by the proposition are characterized by inaccuracies, contradictions, and paradoxes. First of all, the recent rebuttal that I heard from my learned colleague from the proposition stated that grass is not that costly to keep, or that grass pitches are not that costly to maintain. From that perspective, and from her argument, there cannot be a cost benefit there. If they're not expensive, then artificial pitches don't provide a cost-effective solution. That's entirely contradictory. Moving on, I would like to point out the fact that the very notion that we have uses the word mandatory. Now, mandatory indicates that it's imposition. Using excessive regulation to impose on parties to keep the grass pitches, maintain them, purchase them, and hire staff to maintain the overall efficacy of the grass pitches would be unnecessary and totally unconstitutional. Using excessive regulation and using law as a weapon to impose certain standards on third parties who cannot really afford those standards is absolutely unconstitutional and impractical in this instance. Thirdly, my learned colleague from the proposition stated that natural playing surfaces are dependent on the climate and surrounding associations. That is what we're trying to point out now. Natural pitches are indeed dependent on the climates. I cannot expect a pitch in England to be same as a pitch in Australia, to be same as a pitch in India, to be same as a pitch in America. The important is, if we want standardization, we need to find some practical way or a practical manner to ensure that we have proper pitches. Getting grass or transporting different tufts of grass, because in England we cannot grow the same kind of grass that we grow in Australia. So even if we transport the grass, we are disturbing the ecosystem in that particular country. At the end of the day, the important need for the sport is safety of the players. I agree with the proposition. But how would you maintain the safety of the players if you can't guarantee how the pitch would work? Any sort of artificial pitch, and the studies have indicated that it's particularly flat and is almost similar in every instance. A damp pitch or a waterlogged pitch would contribute to injuries. Therefore, the contradictions present in the proposition render this proposition moot. Thank you.
Thank you. We have now heard the rebuttals from both teams. We will now proceed to the conclusions. University of Lagos team, you have 2 minutes for your conclusion.
Hi, I would like to confirm if everyone can hear me.
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you.
All right. Why are we so eager to cover our sport fields with plastic? The current fervor for artificial turf is driven by the desire for more profit margins and convenience than by concern for the actual users, the athletes. My name is Esther Nadozi, and I assert that the use of natural grass should be made mandatory in professional sports stadiums. My colleague already canvassed our position by discussing 3 points, and in the next 2 minutes, I'll bring our arguments to a close. It is not news. A meta-analysis published in 2023 by the American Journal of Sports Medicine found that ankle injuries were more likely to occur on both old and new generation turf fields in comparison to natural grass fields. From lessening the impacts on joints to decreasing the risk of abrasions, natural grass provides a safer, more forgiving surface for athletes to perform. Moreover, the environmental benefits of natural grass are undeniable. It produces oxygen, sequesters carbon dioxide, and cools the air. By choosing natural grass, stadiums can become green lungs for our cities, enhancing the quality of our life. Lastly, the authenticity of the game itself is at stake. The interaction between the player and the playing surface is integral to the nature of sports. It challenges athletes to adapt and excel in varying conditions, preserving the traditional essence of games played on natural surfaces. Therefore, mandating natural grass in professional sports stadiums is a commitment to the safety of athletes, environmental responsibility, and the purity of the game. This clamor is not just for the current generation, but for the sake of future generations who deserve to play in safer and greener arenas. Thank you.
Thank you for your conclusion. Now for the position against the University of Birmingham team, you now have 2 minutes.
I presume I'm audible.
You are.
The same shining example article that they used, the American Journal article, was the very same article that was criticized for being lobbied by Fox News and for being hijacked by multi-million-dollar corporations that are being funneled by these multi-dollar owners who want to keep artificial pitches in order to keep them running at the expense of profit. So literally, their source is the same source that are funneling money into keeping artificial turfs alive. So their own source is probably not as credible. But there are two things I think I want to point out here. The first, the example, the shining light example of natural green grass is always great. Natural green grass is always great in circumstances that can accommodate natural green grass, like Australia, where artificial pitches are already capped at a very low amount. In UK, there are very few artificial pitches for the same reasons that we talked about. But this motion forces you to make this a mandatory requirement in all sports stadiums across the world. That is to say, even in contexts where green grass doesn't grow nominally, you have to do what the third speaker of the affirmative says, which is to transport grass. This is when all of the harms Krisha points out about increased use of pesticide, about poor water irrigation channels, about long-term sustainable harm to the environment. All of these then become serious consideration when you force the use of grass in countries that are insuitable at being able to upkeep these conditions. That is a harm that all four speakers don't challenge on that side of the house. Secondly, we think there's a contradiction. The first speaker of proposition said that the reason why countries want to engage in this is because they want to deliberately injure their own players to save money. If that is true, they also concede that this enterprise is money saving in the first place. Because if they weren't saving money, then why would they do this? So you have to accept then that it's a question of cost. And imposing this requirement means you force people to undertake costs they otherwise wouldn't have. This means you render two things. One, either countries who are poor needs to now spend exorbitant amount of cost in order to run sports, or like in the cases of Singapore, where they can't have the climate to have natural grass, you force them to shut down their sporting leagues and sporting franchises. That's not a cost we want to undertake. We oppose.
Thank you. This marks the end of your match. You can now relax. You're no longer graded after this part. On the side of organization, congratulations on completing your first finals match, first match in the final phase, and thus your 8th finals match. Of course, the results will be released to you as soon as we have confirmation from all 3 judges. So the anticipated timeline is by the end of this week. You should know the results of your match. But before we find out the results, of course, as always, we have a little tradition at the end to do a feedback. So I would like to give the floor to University of Lagos, perhaps, starting with Ms. Nadozi. How did you find the debate, the topic, and is there perhaps a difference in approach that your team made between the group phase and the final phase?
Hello. Um, I really enjoyed the topic. It's always insightful to find new things and to learn new things because I'm not really into sports, so it was an eye opener for me. And as regards our preparation, we put in more effort into finding as many sources, as many statistics to be able to support our claim and try to find novel arguments to canvass our points. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing. The same question for the team of University of Birmingham, perhaps starting with Mr. Raj. How did you find the debate, the topic, and perhaps did you see a difference in approach for your team between group phase and the final phase?
Yes, of course. I think the topic was quite interesting. It was a unique one, precisely, to be honest, because I think it's not necessarily, obviously, it's definitely very legal, but on the other hand, I think it's an over interaction of intersection of social and legal issues to some extent, because we bring in the environment, we bring in the cost-effective analysis. So I think that's something really fascinating. And as a football fan myself, I think it's something I really enjoyed. I didn't know much about it, and I got to know more about it. So it's quite interesting. And with regards to the approach, I think uh, it was fairly, if we would have done the proposition, that would have been our approach as well, but to some extent a bit more different than what we would have approached. And I think it's more about looking at the problem that lies on the base of the issue and the necessity, because the wording of the topic I feel is very important, and the use of word mandatory makes a difference.
Thank you for sharing. For University of Lagos, same question. How did you find the debate, the topic? And perhaps do you hear arguments from the other side that you yourself were ready to prepare if you had their position, or were you surprised for some of the sources? Miss, my apologies, Miss Lenu.
As my colleague has stated earlier, it's always very insightful to make research on topics that we haven't delved into like previously. And I found it very interesting. As she mentioned earlier, we tried as much as possible to bring up novel arguments in relation to the topic. And I absolutely enjoyed this session. I would say particularly that I enjoyed the passion that the opposing team actually displayed in their argument. And I believe like it's always like a very good opportunity to learn new things and develop. So yeah, it's an interesting session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, the same question for University of Birmingham, Ms. Sedani. How did you find the debate, the topic, and perhaps specifically for the arguments of the other side, did you hear something you were already prepared for in your research, or were you surprised?
Yes, I really enjoyed this motion. I think out of all the motions I've done, this is my favorite one. I think it was a bit more of a balanced motion, and it also made more sense to me. The points were clearer, and just some of the points that the proposition used, such as safety and environment, we'd also researched as well. But I did enjoy that. I think out of all the debates as well, this was the one where both sides were quite combative, but that made it more exciting and more interesting.
Thank you for sharing. And for the University of Lagos, Ms. Ugo, how did you find the debate, the topic? And perhaps if you could share maybe overall the experience, as this is this is already several matches after you have started this edition. Do you think maybe the preparation for the debates has affected how you do the topics that you research for university or for other aspects of your life?
Okay, hello. Good afternoon. So yes, I really loved today's debate session. It was amazing, of course. It was combative. It was actually one of the most combative debate sessions we've had so far, and it was interesting the way the other team canvassed their points, how they were able to just bring up everything together. It was honestly amazing. It showed, the due diligence, and I was amazed that we had this type of opponent. In preparations, our preparations were different from normal. Usually we had to start rushing in between because we had classes and we had tests and all of that. So we have to start rushing when we're like really close to the debate session. But this time we just resumed, so everything was really chill and we could start from the beginning. We made proper research into sports, into the legal aspects. We went really broad, so it was really fun. The whole process of the research, getting our topics, the whole debate, everything was really fun. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Thank you for sharing. From University of Birmingham, Mr. Mahar, how did you find the debate, the topic, and perhaps the same question as for University of Lagos, the last one. How did you see maybe the preparation for the topics you had influences the way you prepare also for other areas of your life?
Yeah, so I'm just going to start by saying I absolutely love this motion. I like how Lagos describe our team as combative. I think it's a lot of love for this motion as well. Ranveer and I are both massive football fans, but I support a better team. But basically, this is a motion that I truly believe in, and like I have so much of love and passion. So it's a really nice motion. I also want to say on record that the Lagos team were exceptional. Like I think it was, without speaking about other teams, I think the Lagos team is truly exceptional. Like we were struggling to find so many legal authorities and to use them as best as we can. And I think the Lagos team did that exceptionally well. I'm thoroughly impressed. And as you know, this is like, I don't praise every team to this extent, but this team is truly exceptional, and I'm really, really happy that we also had the chance to debate against this team. Preparation-wise, I think we're the opposite from Lagos. A lot of us were overseas because it's actually our Easter break, so we didn't have as much opportunities to prepare as we did for the previous round. But I think we still managed to come up with what I thought was a pretty good performance. I'm also very proud of my teammates for doing such a great job in the limited time that we have. And I think we did, and we showed quite a good account of ourselves, I think, as well. And I think this was just two, without arrogance, these are two very good teams, I think, that was debating today. And I think we thoroughly enjoyed this. And it's my favorite motion and favorite debate thus far, without a doubt. So, like, thank you to everyone who made this round possible.
Thank you very much for sharing. I believe Professor Polish, who was the guarantor for for 8 finals, will be quite happy to hear the feedback. For the 8 finals, actually, there will be a recognition award from the guarantor of the round, which will be announced during the finals of the competition. So during the closing ceremony, the teams or perhaps specific matches that will be acknowledged. That is one of the opportunities that you can also meet the guarantor of the match. I cannot already say, maybe you've already had her as a judge in the previous rounds, or you might still have her as a judge in the future rounds. So on that note, thank you very much for sharing. And the final part, a little bit of networking, this time a little bit unusual one as we are in the final phase. And that is, I would like to ask first perhaps to the University of Lagos, what would you say are the student associations or to introduce to the University of Birmingham that they might also be familiar with in terms of what type of activities are organized? Maybe you have a specific law student association, a journal, a legal journal maybe that is active in your university. And what are the typical and interesting activities, maybe you could say, that if you participate in?
Okay. Hello everyone. Yeah, we have a lot of societies in the University of Lagos, starting from the current society, which of course helps us to make our research. And basically our primary body for competitions is the Mooting Society, a very wonderful society. I'm a member of that, as including my colleagues. We're all members of the society. There's also the Alternative Dispute Resolution Society. We have insurance, societies for insurance. We have investments. We have quite a number. There's also extracurriculars, of course. Like I'm a member of the chess team. We also have what do you call it, other board activities. Of course, we have games and all of that. And also, yes, the Motoring Society is like Nigeria's top society for competition. So yes, that's one thing we really boast about. We're at the top of the ranking. And the Alternative Dispute Resolution Society is also, I think we got like first in East Africa for the last competition we participated in. So yes, our societies and bodies are very active and they are very determined when it comes to personal development and, you know, general student body development. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. University of Birmingham team is, does the similar situation is also for your university, or do you maybe have a centralized student association for law students? What type of activities do you do?
Yeah, so our official law society is known as the Wholesale Club. So they're also the ones that have registered us for this competition. And without a conflict of interest, I'm on the Wholesale Club, so I'm the advocacy and mooting officer. And this is a society that cuts across a lot of different events. So it's like the main law student union kind of thing. So we do loads of activities. So each individual officer is responsible for different portfolios. So obviously, being the advocacy and mooting officer, I do the organization and sending teams for a variety of competition, a lot of mooting competitions, a lot of debating competitions, trips to the like bar, etc., etc. And then there is other roles that do like more social events. There is a careers network officer that does more like social networking and like more solicitor firms, kind of extravaganza events, networking sessions. We have more like social activities like Christmas night, Easter nights, the law ball. So that's the main student union, but we have like 14 committee members in the Wholesale Club, and they both do very different portfolios. So we have a very wide-ranging events that the Wholesale Club do cover and do promote. And I think it's very good because individual officers get a lot of flexibility to kind of do things they want, to register for things that interest them. And a shout out because they might be watching on live stream. They've been very supportive. They've paid the 300 euros for this competition as well. So they've been a very good supporting force for us in all our tournaments, even this debate tournament and all other events as well. So yeah, they've been really supportive, and I want to acknowledge that. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing, everyone. I hate to cut this short, but we have another eight finals match starting in 10 minutes. So what I can do is that I would really like to encourage you to stay in contact, be that on the individual level or perhaps also on the level of your associations. Maybe some interesting and exciting new inter-association activities might be in the future for you. So once again, congratulations, everyone. Is good to welcome you to the final phase and wishing you all the best for the week ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.